Carol, Kevin, you sit here 2 years on from buying the football club. First of all, it's been 2 years that you could never, ever have imagined what's been thrown at you. How does it feel to be 2 years down the line?
I think that sums it up.
Says it all, doesn't it? I mean,
I can't believe it's 2 years.
no.
It seems like yesterday and it seems like forever. It's one of those sort of timeless periods, if you like. I think we remember the day 2 years ago so well.
Well, it was Beswick's telling us not to do it, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, all the solicitors and all the accountants saying, don't do this is a terrible idea. They have since come back and said... that
Carol let them go on for half an hour, telling them all the reasons why not, didn't you?
Yeah.
And there was a mass of them at Beswick's, you know, serious sort of law firm. And she then said, after about half an hour of this, she said, I'm going to go to the loo now. You can make a cup of tea and then we'll sign the papers or something.
No, then you can tell me how we're going to do this deal in 8
Right.
weeks, because that's all we've got.
That's right.
And we went on and we did it, and it's been don't look down ever since, really, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But it's...
Well, it's just been, I mean, if I'm honest, it's just been the story of our life, hasn't it, really?
Let's not let this interview extend to the story of our life, because
No.
I think that might be very long. And
Well, you can cut bits out, can't you?
no, it hasn't been what we expected. It hasn't been what the world expected, because we haven't finished a season with fans. We haven't had fans in the stadium for the majority of our tenure, which
It's been very peaceful.
but I wouldn't change it. I think what we've done in the past 2 years has been hard. It's been emotional.
I mean, I think, you know, I'm really too old to be learning lessons, you know, but the amount of learning we've done in the last 2 years has been phenomenal, you know. It's just a good job you didn't know what was coming, isn't it?
You mentioned learning, and I think whilst it's good to look back, what advice would you give yourselves from that first interview when you sat in the Bicard stand to now? What you've learnt, what advice would you give each other, yourselves, on that first day?
Don't.
Well, on Saturday, just gone, the new owners of Grimsby Town Football Club were there. So they actually asked us advice, because they want Grimsby to become a club like ours. So straight away, we've just ticked a box, because that's what we'd always wanted, really, was that we wanted to create a club that didn't replicate another club, that we were our own people, we do it in our own way, but you know that you're doing it well when people come and ask you how you're doing it, because they want to do the same. I mean, they had just been relegated, so I mean, you know, we're a bit
Well,
down.
he hadn't, had he?
He hadn't, no.
They're just coming in.
No, so
But,
this
I mean,
deal took over yesterday. The advice I gave him was, because they are fans, is to stop being a fan. You know, being a fan, a football fan, is driven on emotion and faith, and you do it because it's so deep within you. But you listen to a fan. I remember listening to a fan. It happened to be a fan of Stoke, but it could have been anywhere, on Praise and Grumble after a match one Saturday. And he was incandescent with rage. I mean, you know, you could not even hear what he was saying. He was so cross. He was bursting. And I thought, you know, this man is, you know, he's lost it. And they had the same chap on the Monday on Praise and Grumble. And he was calm, he was rational, he was reasonable, and you think, you know, how could you tie in these two? How could they be the same person? Well, they can, because it's football. And it's driven on emotion. And what I found this season is, when we weren't doing very well, I went into that place where he was. And I had to stop doing that. And my son Patrick really helped me, because he was saying, you know, if something goes wrong at Synectics, do you go like this? And I went, well, no, of course not. And he said, well, it's the same thing. You know, they're just two companies that you are running. But that is part of running the football club. And it was a huge change for me to you know, that doesn't mean to say that I was okay about it. I wasn't. But I had to look at that match and we were still losing. But I had to look at what does that mean for the organisation, what do we need to do to turn that round. So I had to come at it from a different place, not detached like, you know, some club owners have come in and it's just a financial transaction. It isn't that. It is knowing that you are acting on behalf of people, and you've got to stay calm and steady when they aren't. And it's perfectly reasonable that they're not. So you don't want to change them. They've got to be football fans. They've got to be what they are. You have to stay steady. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I didn't learn it the first year because I didn't need to, because everything that we did, you know, touch just turned to gold, didn't it? I mean, it was a magical year. We went to Man City. We did all sorts of things. It's this year where it was really grounded. It was the reality check for all 92. And, you know, you are judged on how you handle bad times, not good ones. We can all handle good times. And this season, 92 clubs all had to handle, well, at the National League as well, all had to handle bad times. So it levelled the playing field of how you were going to deal with it. So whether it was off the pitch or on the pitch, we had to really put our colours to the mast, didn't we, and say, right, this is how we run a football club during bad times.
Well, they do say that character is formed in adversity, and by God have we had some adversity this year, you know. So...
and that's what the Grimsby owners will get, though, because they've gone straight into adversity.
Yeah.
Because they've gone straight into relegation.
Yeah.
And they've been there before. See, that's the other thing. They've been there before, and
Yeah.
they came back up. We've never been there. So there was that time.
There was a few horrible weeks.
There was, of Kevin
The collar
and I.
was getting tighter and tighter, you know.
And we were saying, we are not going to be the people who take Port Vale out of the league. We are not. That is not going to happen. And it stiffened our resolve, didn't
the 2 years before we came in, we were, what, 14th? Or no,
I mean, we skirted with the trap.
Yeah, no, it was right down the bottom, wasn't it? And there was times when it was, you know, horrible, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I think it was as the leader again, at that point where we had to say, we will not make promotion this year, we will not make playoffs, and that's okay. We can still make it a successful season for Port Vale. And how do we do that? Because it's all about the P word, as Darryl calls it. But it isn't, you know, there is what... And that's why when we chose to restructure the backroom staff and bring in a director of football, we brought people in who'd had a lot of experience of promotion, who understood it.
You've mentioned when we're talking about David Flitcroft, when David Flitcroft came in, you said that was a period of your life as the owner where you were like, the pennies dropped, I can't do it all. Was that one of the defining moments, would you say, for both of you, of the past 2 years?
Yeah, it was quite interesting. Colin Garlick and I were interviewing Dave Flitcroft on Zoom, because obviously you can't meet. And anybody who's met Dave Flitcroft and met me know we can both talk a lot, particularly when we get onto a subject that we, you know, feel passionate about. And we both felt passionate about this. And just a very quick funny story was, it was a Thursday, and I've had Ocado orders delivered during lockdown, and Thursday was the day that I had to finish the order. And what I do is I'll reserve the spot, throw a couple of bottles of really expensive champagne in there to reserve my spot.
To get the money up to the...
Yeah, to get the money up. And then the day before we have the delivery, I go take those out and put my grocery order in. So I've got my grocery order all there, ready to go in, and I've got a note to remind myself, as soon as I come off this call, Dave Flitcroft, I've got to do my Ocado order. And then we're still talking, and then it suddenly comes up on my screen, your Ocado order has been packed. And I thought, it can't be. And then I looked, and it was 2 very expensive bottles of champagne and a bottle of avocado oil for some random reason. I don't even know why that was there. I said to him, you better take this job, you've just cost me a fortune in champagne and I've got no food for the weekend. But in that call, in talking to him, I realised that we needed that experience on the board. We needed... he couldn't really... He wanted to be the manager, and I wanted him to be the manager. And we were going in that direction. But he has commitments elsewhere with his brothers, with the family business. And he was saying to me, I want to give you everything and I wouldn't be able to. And I was saying, well, okay, well, how can we do this then? If I can't have all of you, how much of you can I have? And this is where, with Colin there as well, and we talked it through, is that actually...
I mean, just to say, Colin knew him from before, didn't he?
Yeah, Rochdale. And Flicker has got so much experience of running that business as well, so he doesn't come in just from football. So he actually bridged that. He had experience in both. And that's where the director of football came in, and it's the best thing we've done. When I look back, my best signing will be Dave Flitcroft, because from him we got Darryl. Without Dave Flitcroft, we wouldn't have got Darryl.
Well, he said we've got to get Darryl, didn't we? But you said, well, he's tied up in a contract, didn't he?
Yeah, and he said, well, okay, that's the investment we need to take. We need him. Andy Crosby came in. Darryl didn't know him, but Dave did, so he went and got Andy for the rest of the season. He went and fetched Darryl Taylor to come and do the strength and conditioning. I mean, he knows everybody. And so to have that level of connection and professionalism that you get from Dave, coupled with the humour, he has brought that great sort of atmosphere into the club. So when he speaks to the board and said, right, this is what we need to do.
Well, I think it's significant. I mean, we had a board meeting
this week,
and we had both Darryl and Dave there. So it's where we sort of see them on the...
Yeah, I was a bit cruel to Darryl because I told him that it was a fine for getting a yellow card at Barrow, which it wasn't really, but I got him suffering a little bit.
They're a nice mixture of blokes because they both got sense of humour, but
they're serious about their work.
Yeah, but what's his name? Daryl's really sort of funny, isn't he?
Yeah.
As came across in the show last night.
Yeah. Was it a forum? Was it a show?
You mentioned in the first interview 2 years ago.
Maybe it was a show. Sorry.
It's okay. In the first interview 2 years ago, you mentioned that there was a lot of rebuilding to be done at the club, which included, from what fans see around the ground, from staffing levels, from backroom, but also rebuilding relationships with fans. That's something which has been very key in almost every interview you've done, is the fans are always in the forefront of your mind. Whatever happens, the fans are in that thought. We've had stories of fans getting the first season ticket for 30 years. We've had fans coming back, and that still happens. How important is that relationship between you two and the fans to make it a cohesive journey for you, the club, and the fans together as Port Vale?
To me, it's just absolutely essential. No fans, no club. It's life can get the wrong way round sometimes. You stick the fans first, you won't go far wrong. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think the Super League debacle that happened the other week, that really showed the power of the fans, but the importance of the fans. Yeah. That it has to be about the fans.
I mean, we were never in any doubt. I mean, we've been to quite a lot of clubs, over the last couple of years, and some of them, they've got nice sort of facilities, but they're out of the town, and you think, where am I thinking of?
Colchester.
Yeah, and you think, that's nice, but, what are you part of? What's the reason for you?
We're so lucky with this club, aren't we? Because it's right in the middle of the community.
I mean, mind you, some people are moaning about it's moved in from Hanley still.
Yeah, they were at the weekend, weren't they?
Yeah. People, it's I'm buying a season ticket, bless them. It's not the same since we moved from Hanley.
In 1950.
Was it? I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
1850 or something.
But the fans are everything, and I love our fans. I think
you have to be part of the community, is what it seems to me. So, I mean, you'd never get this space again, would you? But it's really, really good. It's what sort of football's about, really, isn't it?
that word there, community. Carol, I'm going to quote you now from the very first video 2 years ago. You said, "We always wanted to help Burslem, and I've always thought a successful football club helps its community." 2 years on, we're sat here as the EFL Community Club of the Year because the Shanahan family group, Synectic Solutions, Port Vale Foundation, the Hub Foundation, and Summit Hospitality came together in a time where community needed businesses and people like you. I mean, were you expecting that when you said it, or was it a case of we'll do what we can? Never in your wildest dreams could you have imagined 300,000 meals coming out of the Port Vale kitchens?
No, I mean, you know, if I'd have said you've got to deliver 300,000 meals, that's like saying to Daryl, you've got to deliver promotion. You know, he says, don't be ridiculous, you know, I can't, you can't put that pressure on. You can't put that pressure on when you're delivering something to the community either. You have to just go and do it. Now, I knew from the experience of the Hub Foundation, before that it was called A Up Duck, wasn't it? You know, so we've been doing the holiday work for about 4 years. And I knew that we could ramp that up. I knew from what we were doing, we were producing numbers which other people were really surprised at, whereas to us, again, you know, we weren't trying to emulate anybody. We were just looking to do it in the best way we possibly can. Mm. And so I didn't think 300,000. I mean, I saw a copy of the email that was sent round to say, hey, wow, we've done 10,000, that'll be great. You know, I mean, go back in March or whatever. No, you just keep going. You don't look down, and you don't set yourself. And I'm fully with Daryl on the pitch with this. You don't set yourself this is the target. This is what we're going to do. You just go into every match. You go into every day to do the best that you can. And that's what we did. I think the important thing for this year was that we didn't have any preconceived ideas of how to help the community. I always talk about, you know, the best help is getting the right help to the right people at the right time, which isn't necessarily what you want to give. You know, and it's the charities or the people that say, this is what we're giving and this is how we want to give it, and yeah, but that isn't what people necessarily want. So the first thing that we did is went and found the gaps. What is needed? Where is it needed? And let's make sure we're getting the right help into the right place. And that's what we did. I'm so proud, and I couldn't believe it on last Thursday when we got the national, you know, the community award. I mean, it's not very often I get moved to tears on these things, but I did. I mean, it was only because John Rudge had just got his award and I was crying about him that it sort of kept me vaguely upright. I'm just so grateful and proud of what they've done. And we've now got football clubs contacting us to say, what are you doing? How can we do some of the stuff that you're doing? Because it wasn't just the food, and that's the important thing. It was the isolation. I mean, Vera, I mean, I love that woman. You know, it was that whole loneliness project, and I really want to extend that out now. So I want to get more volunteers to come in to make those phone calls to people, because I know the difference it makes. It's the mentoring scheme that we've got going and bringing in volunteers and matching the right mentor to the right mentee. So it's not just, well, I made it a word. So it's doing everything that the foundation does. And they can't tell me that they can't do anything now because
they've done it.
Award, that's it, you know. But they have been amazing. So, yeah, they're proud.
And finally, 2 years on, have you got another message for the fans?
Thank you. Just
bottom of the heart, thank you, isn't it? I mean, the year we've been through, the number of people who left their season ticket money in it.
We had a letter come in this week from a chap, a Valiant, to say, I didn't buy a season ticket this year. I bought one for next season. Didn't buy one this season, but I really want to be part of the movement of, you know, be part of the group of helping. So here's a cheque for £300 for the season ticket I didn't buy. Please put it in the club as a donation. And you just go, as Slicker would say, wow. He does a great wow.
That'll do, won't it? I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing else you can say. It's opened my eyes. I mean, a few years ago we moved next door, but the people here are just truly amazing, and we sit in the middle of them here, you know, and it's about giving them what they want, isn't it? About
What they need.
yeah, and all the things that Carol's talked about with feeling comfortable and all that sort of thing. But you know, on the football field, it's I think we've got the right guys in, you know, to help move this thing forward, and I've never been so excited about the prospects of the club and all the things that entails.
I'm excited about next season, and that came to me this weekend when I was talking to people queuing up for their season tickets.
Yeah.
I'm just so looking forward to it.
I was on, but people, that's what got me, because we were away at Grimsby on the, whatever it was, the Saturday, and then on the Sunday and the Monday we were in here, weren't we? And on the Monday, it gradually got wetter and wetter and wetter, you know, it was like a comedy sketch, wasn't it? And in the end, I'd left my trousers, I had them in the car, in the boot, and
He was wearing trousers. It's his waterproof trousers that he left in the car, his golf trousers.
Thank you for
Can
that.
we just clarify that?
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
But, you know, it just... and there were people queuing there, and I thought, oh, well, you know, I saw the weather, I thought, well, we'll get... You know, the first 2 days have been great, and I thought, well, we'll get, you know, 10 here or something down here. And I came and looked, oh, bloody hell, the queue's going, and every time it sort of went down, it went up again. And
But people just wanted to be part, didn't
they
they?
did, didn't they? Yeah. And it was great just walking round the ground, you know, the number of people who were sitting in their seats and feeling, and it's things like that that give you a real feel as to what this means and matters to people, isn't it? And you know, just I think it just, if anything was required, it just increased our resolve, didn't it? Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Just don't mention the P word. If you're anywhere near Darryl.
Don't be wet.
Don't be rude.
Carol, Kevin, thank you very much, and here's to many more years at Port Vale.
Thank you.
Up the bow.